Good evening, guys. Dr. Rebecca Warren here, and I wanted to jump on and talk about Hashimoto's. I have men and women from all walks of life that come in with the diagnosis of Hashimoto's. And what I've found is this common theme within our medical system to see Hashimoto's as a diagnosis that you wear. I have people that have had Hashimoto's, whether they were diagnosed with it or not, that have had it for decades, and they feel like as good as they're going to get is staying on a pill where they're going to have to keep on increasing it year after year. And if they're not increasing it, most people think that they can't get any better, that they've got to suffer through life because they have Hashimoto's. And so that really bothers me. That kind of angers me that so many people have to suffer because they misunderstand this diagnosis. And the truth is, Hashimoto's is a symptom. It's a symptom of a sick body. It's the same way, if you have another symptom, whether that's high blood pressure or you have a breakout on your skin, when your body is in a dysfunctional state and it gives you a symptom to let you know that something's wrong, it's to tell us to do something about it. But why is it that most people that are diagnosed with Hashimoto's don't get any direction on what to do about it? And most people don't even get kind of any hope that there is anything that they can do themselves. And so I wanted to jump on here and address kind of the most basic things that you need to understand if you think you might have Hashimoto's or if you've been diagnosed with Hashimoto's in the past. And the first thing I want to say is, I don't want this video to allow you to believe that healing your body or coming across Hashimoto's as your diagnosis is a simple process. It's really understanding your body and what your health has been through and getting down to the cause. And so I am going to talk about a few things here nutritionally. I'm going to talk about a few things here neurologically and even touch on a few things with toxicity. But every body is different. And if I can allow you to watch, by watching this video, you can understand that, hey, if I have this diagnosis, it's not the end all be all. I have to actually do something about it. Then I've done my job. Now the next step is going deep enough in understanding so you can, you can bring down your antibody numbers in many different easy ways by making some lifestyle changes. Let me take a step back. It's easier to just take a pill and do nothing. I will admit that. But there's many things that you can do in regards to lifestyle changes that can really help with bringing down those antibody numbers. But to be truly well, you've got to figure out what caused that in the first place. So the first thing I would love for you guys to understand about Hashimoto's is that in the presence of those antibody numbers, you will never feel well or function well at all. I don't know why it is that, doctors will not test those numbers, thyroid antibody numbers like TPO antibodies, thyroglobulin antibodies. From some of the things that I've read, the truth is there's no medication on the market that's going to bring those numbers down. So I don't know if doctors believe that really there's nothing that you can do about it or they're choosing to ignore it. But the one thing I know for a fact is that those numbers can come down. And why is it important to get your thyroid antibodies numbers down? Well, it's an autoimmune reaction. Think about it this way. If you have high antibody numbers when it comes to your thyroid and you're living in those high antibody numbers, it means you are literally beating up your thyroid day after day after day. And so some people will have high thyroid numbers and they'll get it low, but I don't care if it's low unless it's as low, not only within the range, but close to 1 or 0 as possible. It's like saying, oh yeah, I'm getting literally beat up by 5 huge men and I don't know why I don't feel well. Well, you don't feel well because you're getting beat up. And so sometimes doctors will see numbers that are low. Does it matter if you're getting beat up by 5 big men or if you're getting beat up by 2 big men? You're still getting beat up. So why would you be okay knowing that you have this active attack on your thyroid? Why would you be okay with living with that? That's why so many people feel like crap even after they get the diagnosis of Hashimoto's, because after they get the diagnosis, there is no direction on what to do. So the first step is getting your TPO antibodies and your thyroglobulin antibodies tested, see where they're at. And I don't care if last year they were a little bit higher or a little bit less, you have an active autoimmune reaction. So you need to get that under control. And what are some ways that you can do that? One common culprit for Hashimoto's is gut dysfunction, gut dysbiosis, causing gut permeability. And I can do a whole video on gluten. I have a lot of people that are like, oh, they just eliminate gluten. But if you have leaky gut for a really long time, I hate to break it to you, you probably have more sensitivities than just gluten. And so there's a few different ways to find out what type of sensitivity is, what you need to work on. Number one, you can do an elimination diet. Eat super, super clean and start introducing each thing one by one. Or you can do an IgG test. I know with IgG test, there's a lot of questions out there about is it accurate? Is it, is it going to give you false negatives, false positives? Well, in our office, we use IgG test to see the biggest culprit. Just because it shows up on there doesn't mean that's a positive. But if I see something, off the charts, I can guarantee you if we eliminate it, you'll see a difference. And it happens time after time after time. And sometimes when you do IgG tests, you'll get some negatives, some false negatives. And then when we look through your diet and we start eliminating things, you also find out what's more accurate. But I love using it just kind of as a big starting point. And so I can do a whole video on just gluten and non-celiac gluten sensitivity. It is my biggest pet peeve to go to restaurants, even here locally in my own city, and they'll have a vegan and vegetarian menu, but they don't care to look at gluten. And I actually got into this conversation with a server, and he asked me, well, do you have celiac disease? Well, I was like, no, I have non-celiac gluten sensitivity. I have high zonulin. I know for a fact that I have a gut permeability that I'm healing from a really high dose of radiation and then getting pregnant and nursing for years. And so he was like, well, what I know is that, unless you have celiac, it's not that big of a deal. He didn't know who he was talking to. So I had to, teach him that actually you're wrong, because multiple studies keep on showing over and over again that gluten, the way that wheat is grown today, the way that it's genetically modified, destroys the gut and feeds inflammation. So no, you don't have to have celiac disease to have a gluten sensitivity and for it to influence your health. So it's really important to figure out what kind of gut sensitivities you have and then heal and support the gut. So we've shared before some of our favorite gut supplements. Restore, it's a liquid redox supplement. I like eating lots of fermented foods and not staying on the same probiotic long term. You are mono-inoculating your gut bacteria, and that is not beneficial. You want a vast array of different bacteria in your gut to be well and to be healthy. So actually one of the first things I do when people come in and they're like, I've been taking a probiotic. I'm like, great, now you're coming off of it, and I want you to start getting acquainted with fermented food, because that's when you're going to get the most diversity of bacteria. And then if you want to do a couple of months on and off and switching around probiotics, you want to get a spore-forming probiotic, because a lot of probiotics, the bacteria doesn't even survive your digestive system. So spore-forming probiotics will get down into your gut and will get where it needs to be to release really, really great bacteria. We love Megaspore Biotic or Restore Flora. Those are some really good probiotics. So if you want to address Hashimoto's, just to remind you, what you want to do is you want to, number one, look at your antibody numbers, see where you're at. Number two, you want to look at the gut. You want to remove sensitivities, and I'll go ahead and tell you top 5 sensitivities I see: soy, gluten, dairy, almonds, and eggs. Doesn't mean that's for you, but I'm telling you what I see with people. Does it mean you're going to have to eliminate it forever? No, because the purpose is not just to eliminate food. I see that happen all the time. People will eliminate foods and life sucks. I get it. Like I had to eliminate eggs for Elijah because I passed down a bad microbiome to him. But that's not natural. You shouldn't have to avoid, eggs and strawberries and almonds. You eliminate the sensitivities, give yourself a minimum between 4 to 6 months, then heal the gut. When you heal the gut, when you repair the gut lining with bone broth and those supplements I talked about, L-glutamine, when you heal the gut, when you balance your bacteria, guess what? You'll eat these foods and you'll be okay. Don't fall for the fact that you eliminate everything and that's it for the rest of your life. I mean, I'll go ahead and tell you, Dr. Nathan and I, we don't ever eat gluten on a regular basis. Is there sometimes? Yeah, I do go down to Mississippi and I'm going to have myself a fried seafood platter every once in a while. Will I feel like crap? Yeah. Will I be inflamed? Yeah, especially as I'm healing and rebalancing my body. But it should never be a regular part of your health. The other thing with Hashimoto's is, you can have underlying viruses. You can have underlying toxicity issues. So the nutrition and healing the gut is that first step of supporting your body, but there are underlying things. And a big red flag that there's underlying things is that you can bring down your antibody numbers, but in different seasons you see it go up again. You see that you're more susceptible to antibodies within your body, especially TPO antibodies or thyroglobulin antibodies. So the biggest thing is once you start healing and supporting your body, I see people need less thyroid medication. I see their doctors surprised that they can bring down their medical doctors that's prescribing the medication. They're surprised that they're needing less and less. Well, if you're absorbing and converting your thyroid hormones better, and if your thyroid is not being attacked, guess what? You need less. And I will say this, the research is kind of not very clear on if you've been on thyroid medication long term, if you can come off of your thyroid medication. This is what I say. The sooner the better. If you've received a thyroid diagnosis, a dysfunctional diagnosis within the last year or two, man, jump in, heal your body, support your body, and see if that's something you can work your way off of with whoever is prescribing that medication. I help people, we do labs, we coach them through that. But long term, studies have shown that 20% of the population can come off of it and be okay. So why not work to be that 20% to see what your body can do on its own? You want to look at the gut, you want to look at underlying viruses, underlying toxicity, and you want to look at your adrenals. And those are the steps to taking it deeper. But if there's one thing, again, I'm going to say this again, that I can leave you with if you've been diagnosed with thyroid issues or Hashimoto's is this. Do not be okay with settling with living with high antibody numbers. Do not be okay with that. You have to get that down. You don't want to get beat up by 5 big men, and you don't want to get beat up by 2. You actually just don't want to get beat up, okay? So guys, get down to the cause. If you have any questions, make sure to comment on this video. I'll try to come back and answer those questions for you. And make sure to share, because you never know how far-reaching this information can be for someone you know and love. Have a blessed day.